The execution order. The grand halls of the Zark Dominion shimmered under neon red banners, their massive crystal spires reflecting the cold light of distant suns. For centuries, the Dominion had ruled with fear, crushing rebellions before they even ignited. The galaxy knew its law, obedience or death. Yet today, something unexpected had pierced their perfect control. In a small human settlement on the mining colony of Taris 9, a girl named Lyra Kane had been captured. Barely 17, Lyra had become an unintended symbol of resistance after broadcasting the first true message of human defiance across Dominion networks. Her speech was raw, passionate, unifying hundreds of worlds in secret. "Enough of your fear," she had said to the hidden cameras. "We will not kneel. We will rise." Her words reached millions. The Dominion considered it a virus. And like any contagion, it had to be excised. Lyra was brought to the Dominion's capital and placed in the execution chamber, a massive arena of holographic light and live transmission satellites. The Emperor himself addressed the galaxy. "Let all see the consequences of rebellion. Let all fear the might of the Zark Dominion." The broadcast began. Every screen, every ship, every city under Dominion control showed the chamber. Lyra was led forward, chains binding her hands. She held her head high, meeting the cameras with a defiance that would soon become legend. "Your empire is built on terror," she said softly, her voice steady. "But fear is fragile, and you are about to see it break." The executioner, a massive Xylau enforcer with exoskeletal armor, stepped forward. The crowd, mostly Dominion loyalists and military elites, waited in tense silence. The Emperor's hand signaled. Lyra was about to die. Middle, the unexpected signal. At exactly 13:02 Dominion Standard Time, the execution was carried out. A brilliant pulse of energy emanated from the chamber, synchronized with the moment the blade struck her heart. But Lyra did not vanish quietly. Unknown to the Dominion, she had activated a hidden device, a beacon embedded deep within her neural core. It was a human prototype, a weapon disguised as a thought wave transmitter, capable of sending a chain reaction through the Dominion's own systems. It had been her final act, a seed planted for chaos. Immediately after the pulse, Dominion screens flickered. Ships stalled mid-orbit. Communications froze. The Imperial Command Network, the backbone of the galaxy-spanning empire, stuttered. For 27 minutes, the Dominion scrambled. Commanders barked orders into radios that no longer responded. Security grids failed, orbital defense cannons misfired, and drones turned on their own allies. And then the collapse began. Every enslaved colony, every oppressed city, every human and alien under Dominion control received the hidden signal. It spread through the systems like wildfire, exploiting weak points, human ingenuity, and long-buried sabotage programs. The Empire's cohesion, maintained for centuries through fear and technology, crumbled. The revolt. As Dominion authority waned, the galaxy's oppressed rose. Humans on outer colonies abandoned mining rigs to seize armories. Alien worlds, tired of Zark tyranny, activated hidden defense grids and struck Dominion garrisons. Fleet after fleet fell into disarray. In every sector, humans and allies followed Lyra's signal as a rallying cry. Somewhere deep in the capital, a group of human resistance fighters had been waiting for this moment. The 27-minute countdown, precisely calculated based on the Dominion's network architecture, was their chance. They stormed the central control hub, guided by the signal, bypassing security protocols the Dominion had relied on for centuries. By the 27th minute, the Dominion Emperor's throne room was in chaos. The very walls pulsed with the destabilized energy of their own control systems. Holographic displays flickered, showing fleets in revolt, entire cities rising against their overlords. The emperor, for the first time in his millennia-long rule, felt true fear. He turned to his generals. "This cannot be calculated." A massive explosion rocked the palace. Energy conduits overloaded. The emperor fell, his final scream drowned in the collapse of the spire above. The aftermath, a new galaxy. The signal, Lyra's final act of rebellion, had done more than topple a ruler. It destroyed the Dominion's centralized control, allowing every oppressed world to assert independence. Within hours, colonies that had been silenced for generations began broadcasting their own messages. Trade routes reopened, fleets no longer fought for fear but for survival. Lyra Kane had become a symbol. Though dead physically, her sacrifice ignited the human spirit across the stars. Everywhere, stories spread. A girl who died on live broadcast but whose courage toppled an empire in just 27 minutes. For humans, it was a reminder of their resilience. For aliens, it was a lesson. Oppression could never last against unity and ingenuity. Rebuilding. In the months that followed, former Dominion sectors began organizing themselves into councils of mutual aid rather than oppressive hierarchies. Humans, who had been underestimated for centuries, took leadership roles in rebuilding interstellar trade and diplomacy. Scholars analyzed Lyra's final act. It wasn't brute force or weapons technology that brought down the Dominion. It was intelligence, courage, and understanding the intricate architecture of fear. She had turned the Dominion's greatest strengths into its weaknesses. Legends began to spread across the newly liberated galaxy. Children learned the story of the human girl who had faced the Emperor without flinching, who spoke truth to power, and whose last breath became the spark of freedom. The 27-minute collapse of the Empire became a celebrated moment of reckoning. Memorials were erected on former Dominion worlds, holographic projections of Lyra's final speech playing eternally. Ending, the power of one. Generations later, historians reflected on the event. One human girl, alone, captured, and condemned, had changed the trajectory of countless civilizations. Her name became synonymous with courage, with the ability of a single act of defiance to topple even the mightiest tyrannies. In the ruins of the Dominion's capital, flowers bloomed in zero-gravity gardens, and statues of Lyra Kane overlooked the city that had once been a symbol of fear. Pilots, diplomats, and scholars alike would visit, paying respects to the girl whose sacrifice reshaped history. And though she had died in the eyes of the galaxy, she lived in its freedom. The empire that had seemed eternal fell not by weapons, but by the indomitable spirit of one human girl. The message was simple, yet eternal: courage matters. Even in the darkest halls of tyranny, a single voice, strong, unwavering, and fearless, can change the course of history.